Don't sit with us at dinner. It makes him uncomfortable, she said about her ex while fixing her hair in the mirror. I said, okay, and stayed home. Packed all my things instead. She came home after midnight to an empty apartment. Called panicking. I said, relax. Now he can eat in peace. And hung up. I, 28, male, had been with Maya, 26, for 2 years. We lived together in a modest 2-bedroom apartment downtown, split the rent 50-50, and I thought we were building something real. That Friday evening, I was getting ready for what I assumed was a casual dinner with our friend group. Maya was fixing her makeup in the bathroom mirror, running a brush through her hair, when she said it. Don't sit with us at dinner. It makes him uncomfortable. I stopped buttoning my shirt. Him, her ex-boyfriend, Derek, who apparently had rejoined our friend's circle 3 months ago after moving back to the city. I looked at her reflection in the mirror. You're serious? She sighed, the kind of sigh people use when they think you're being unreasonable. It's just one dinner. Don't make it weird. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger. Something quieter. I said, okay, and told her to have fun. She kissed my cheek, grabbed her purse, and left. The apartment door closed with a soft click. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Then I started packing. 2 years, and it took me 4 hours to erase myself from that apartment. Every box I owned. Every bag I could carry. My clothes from the closet. My books from the shelf. The coffee maker I bought. The lamp from my old place. The framed photo of my parents. I left nothing but empty hangers and dust outlines. At 11:47 p.m., I locked the door for the last time, dropped my key on the kitchen counter, and drove to my brother's place across town. Maya came home just after midnight. I know because my phone started ringing. 17 calls in a row. Derek wasn't supposed to be a permanent fixture. When Maya first mentioned he was back in town, it was casual. Oh, Derek's moving back for work. Might grab coffee with the group sometime. I didn't think much of it. They'd dated for 6 months, 2 years before we met. She always described it as a short, amicable thing. No drama. No lingering feelings. Just 2 people who realized they weren't compatible. But coffee turned into weekly hangouts. Weekly hangouts turned into him being invited to every group event. Game nights. Brunches. Movie trips. And Maya always made sure I knew he was coming. Derek's coming tonight. That okay? She'd ask, but it wasn't really a question. It was a notification. I said yes every time because I didn't want to be the insecure boyfriend. I didn't want to make things awkward. The first red flag came 6 weeks after Derek reappeared. We were at a bar with 8 friends, sitting in a long booth. I sat next to Maya like I always did. Derek arrived late, scanned the table, and his eyes landed on the empty seat across from her. He sat down, smiled at her, and said, just like old times. She laughed. Not a polite laugh. A real one. I looked at her, waiting for her to say something, to create distance, to acknowledge me. She didn't. She just kept talking to him about some restaurant they used to go to. I brought it up later that night. Does it feel weird to you? Him being around so much. She frowned. Why would it be weird? We're all friends. I tried to explain. The way he looked at her. The way she lit up when he walked in. She cut me off. You're being paranoid. Derek and I are over. We're just friends now. You need to trust me. I apologized. I told her she was right. I buried the discomfort and tried to move on. But the pattern continued. At a birthday dinner 2 weeks later, Derek sat next to her. I sat 3 seats down. When I suggested we carpool to a concert, she said, Derek already offered to drive me. You can meet us there. At a house party, I found them on the back patio, talking alone for 30 minutes. When I joined, the conversation died. She said they were just catching up. I asked what about. She said it wasn't important. I started noticing smaller things. The way she checked her phone more often when we were together. The way she'd smile at a text and not tell me who it was from. The way she'd mention Derek's opinions on movies, restaurants, career advice, like his input mattered more than mine. I told myself I was overreacting. I told myself this was what mature relationships looked like. You don't get jealous. You don't make demands. You trust. 3 months into Derek's return, I realized I was being erased in small, deliberate ways. It started with plans. Maya and I used to have a Sunday tradition. Breakfast at the diner on 4th Street, then a walk through the park. Nothing fancy, just us. One Sunday, she texted me at 9 a.m., brunch with the group today. Derek suggested this new place. Meet us there. I asked if we could do our usual thing instead. She said, we can do that anytime. This is a group thing. I went to the brunch. Derek sat across from her again. They spent half the meal reminiscing about trips they took when they were dating. A weekend in Portland. A concert in Seattle. She laughed at stories I'd never heard before. I sat there cutting my eggs, wondering when I'd become optional. The group dynamic shifted too. It wasn't just Maya and Derek. It was the way everyone started treating them like a unit. When someone suggested plans, they'd say, "Is Maya coming? What about Derek?" Like they were a package deal. When I showed up without her once, someone asked, "Where's Maya?" I thought she and Derek were coming. I corrected them. She and I live together. Derek's just a friend. They nodded, but I could see the confusion in their eyes. They weren't sure anymore. I tried talking to Maya again. One night, after another group hangout where I felt like a ghost, I sat her down. "I feel like you're prioritizing Derek over me," I said. She looked tired. "Not this again. You're being insecure. I'm allowed to have friends." I said it wasn't about friendship. It was about respect. About the way she made space for him and asked me to shrink. She shook her head. "You're reading into things that aren't there. Derek and I are just comfortable with each other. That's not a threat to you." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to be the kind of partner who didn't let jealousy ruin a good thing. So I stopped bringing it up. I swallowed the discomfort. I showed up to every event, sat wherever I was told, and smiled through every inside joke I wasn't part of. I convinced myself that this was temporary, that Derek would get a girlfriend, or move again, or drift away. That Maya would remember I was the one who stayed. But she didn't. If anything, she leaned in harder. She started asking Derek for advice on things she used to ask me about. Work stress, apartment decisions, what to wear to events. One night, she was trying on dresses for a wedding, and I told her the blue one looked great. She nodded, then texted someone. "Derek says the black one is better," she said, and changed. I sat on the edge of the bed and said nothing. That Friday started like any other. I got home from work around 6. Maya was already in the bathroom, doing her makeup. I asked what time we needed to leave for dinner. She paused, eyeliner in hand, and said, "About that." I waited. She didn't look at me. She kept her eyes on the mirror. "Derek's going to be there tonight, and I think it would be better if you didn't sit with us." I stood in the doorway, replaying the sentence in my head, trying to make it mean something different. "What?" she sighed, the kind of sigh people use when they're about to explain something they think is obvious. "He's still adjusting to being around us, and it makes him uncomfortable when you're right there. So maybe just sit at a different table tonight. Or stay home. Whatever's easier." I stared at her. She was brushing her hair now, casual, like she'd just asked me to pick up milk. "You're asking me not to go to dinner with our friends because your ex-boyfriend is uncomfortable?" She set the brush down and turned to face me. "It's just one dinner. Don't make it weird." I felt something shift inside me. Not rage. Not even hurt. Just clarity. I said, "Okay." She smiled, relieved. "Thank you. I knew you'd understand." She kissed my cheek, grabbed her purse, and left. I heard the front door close. I heard her car start in the parking lot. I stood in the bathroom for maybe 10 seconds, staring at the counter where her makeup was still scattered. Then I walked into the bedroom and opened the closet. I pulled out the suitcases from under the bed. 2 large ones. 1 duffel bag. I started with clothes. Every shirt. Every pair of jeans. Every jacket I owned. I emptied my side of the dresser. I took my shoes from the rack by the door. My belts. My watch box. My gym bag. I moved through the apartment like I was following a checklist. Books from the living room shelf. My laptop and charger. The coffee maker I bought when we moved in. The lamp from my old apartment. The framed photo of my parents on the nightstand. I worked fast. No hesitation. No second guessing. I carried boxes to my car, 3 trips up and down the stairs. I left the furniture we'd bought together. The couch. The dining table. The bed. But I took everything that was mine. By 10:30 p.m., the apartment looked hollow. Empty hangers in the closet. Bare shelves. Dust outlines where my things used to be. I walked through one last time, making sure I hadn't forgotten anything. I locked the door. I left my key on the kitchen counter next to a folded dish towel. Then I drove to my brother's place. Update 1. My brother Mark opened the door at 11:15 p.m., took one look at the boxes in my arms, and said, "What happened?" I told him I'd explain later. He helped me unload the car. We stacked everything in his guest room without talking. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. It was 11:47 p.m. Maya's dinner had probably ended an hour ago. She was likely home by now. At 12:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text. Where are you? I didn't answer. Another text. Why does the apartment look like this? Then another. This isn't funny. Then the call started. 1, 2, 3 in a row. I let them ring. By the fourth call, Mark came into the room. You going to answer that? I shook my head. The calls kept coming. 5, 6, 7. My phone lit up like a slot machine. At call number 10, Mark said, maybe you should just tell her you're done. At call 17, I answered. She was breathing hard, almost hyperventilating. Where the hell are you? Where's all your stuff? Did someone rob us? I kept my voice calm. Flat. Relax. I just moved out. Silence. Then what? What do you mean you moved out? I said, you wanted him to eat in peace. Now he can. You made your choice. I made mine. She started talking fast, panicking. Wait. No, you can't just leave. We need to talk about this. Come back. Please. I said, there's nothing to talk about. You asked me not to sit with you because your ex was uncomfortable. So I left. Permanently. She tried to interrupt. I didn't let her. You can have the apartment. I'll cover my half of rent through the end of the lease. After that, you're on your own. She was crying now, loud, messy sobs. This is insane. You're overreacting. It was one dinner. I said, it wasn't one dinner. It was 3 months of you putting him first. I'm done being optional. Then I hung up. She called again. I declined. She sent texts. Long paragraphs about how I was being dramatic, how she didn't mean it like that, how we could fix this. I didn't read them. I turned off my phone and sat in the dark guest room, feeling lighter than I had in months. Mark knocked on the door. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, I'm good. He said, you want a beer? I said, yeah, I do. Update 2. By Saturday afternoon, the group chat had exploded. 37 unread messages. I scrolled through them while drinking coffee at Mark's kitchen table. Maya had posted at 1:30 a.m. Can someone please tell me what just happened? He left. Moved out completely. Over one dinner. 3 people responded with question marks. One person asked if I was okay. Derek didn't say anything. Then Sarah, one of the more neutral friends, texted me privately. Hey, Maya's freaking out. What happened? I gave her the short version. The dinner request. The prioritization pattern. The fact that I was tired of being treated like a backup option. Sarah's response came 5 minutes later. Honestly, I've been wondering when you'd say something. The Derek thing has been weird for a while. I asked what she meant. She said, they act like they're still dating. And she treats you like you're the ex. More private messages came in. Another friend, Jason, said, dude, I didn't realize it was that bad. I thought you were cool with it. I told him I wasn't. That I'd been swallowing it for months. He said, yeah, that tracks. Last night at dinner, she and Derek sat next to each other the whole time. It felt off. I asked if anyone else noticed. He said, everyone noticed. We just didn't know what to say. By Sunday, the group chat had split. Half the group sided with me. The other half thought I was overreacting. Maya posted a long message. I need you all to know that I never meant to hurt anyone. Derek is just a friend. I asked for one small favor, and now I'm being punished for it. Someone replied, you asked your boyfriend not to come to a group dinner because your ex was uncomfortable. That's not a small favor. The argument spiraled. People picked sides. Accusations flew. Derek finally spoke up. I never asked her to do that. She made that decision on her own. That stopped the chat cold. Maya tried to backpedal. He didn't ask, but I could tell he was uncomfortable. I was just trying to keep the peace. Sarah responded, by sacrificing your actual boyfriend? No one replied. The chat went silent after that. Maya texted me privately. 53 messages over 2 days. Apologies. Justifications. Promises to change. I see it now. I was wrong. Please come back. We can work through this. I didn't respond. Not to her. Not to the group. I muted the chat and moved on. Mark asked if I was going to block her. I said, not yet. I want to see how far she'll go. Update 3. Monday evening, Maya showed up at Mark's apartment. She'd somehow found the address, probably through a mutual friend. Mark answered the door, saw her standing there with red eyes and a bottle of wine, and said, he doesn't want to see you. She tried to push past him. I just need 5 minutes. Please. Mark blocked the doorway. No. You need to leave. I heard her voice from the guest room. The pleading tone. The desperation. I stayed where I was. She called out, I know you can hear me. Please. Just let me explain. Mark looked back at me. I shook my head. He told her to leave or he'd call the police. She stood there for another minute, crying on the doorstep, then finally left. I listened to her car pull away. Mark came back inside. You good? I said, yeah, thank you. He said, she's not going to stop, is she? I said, not until she realizes I mean it. The text continued. More apologies. More promises. Then the tone shifted. By Wednesday, she was angry. You're really going to throw away 2 years over one misunderstanding? I replied for the first time in days. It wasn't a misunderstanding. You chose him over me. That was clear. She shot back. I never chose him. You're making this into something it's not. I said, you asked me not to sit with you at dinner because he was uncomfortable. That's a choice. She didn't respond for an hour. Then fine. If you want to be petty, but you're going to regret this. That Friday, I got a call from the landlord. Maya had asked to remove my name from the lease early. She wanted me off the contract by the end of the month. I told the landlord I'd already agreed to cover my half through the lease term, but I had no interest in staying. He said he'd process the paperwork. I asked if she could afford the place alone. He paused. That's her problem, not mine. I hung up. Sarah texted me again. Maya's telling people you abandoned her, that you left without warning, and now she's stuck with rent she can't afford. I sent Sarah the screenshots, the dinner request, the months of texts where I tried to talk about Derek, the night I told her I was leaving and why. Sarah read them. Yeah, she's lying. I'll set the record straight. By Saturday, half the group knew the truth. The other half didn't care. The group chat died completely. No one planned anything. No one tried to bring people together. Derek stopped showing up to events. Maya stopped posting. 2 months later, I heard through Jason that Maya had moved out of the apartment. She couldn't cover the rent alone. She'd moved back in with her parents an hour outside the city. Derek, apparently, had started dating someone new, a woman he met through work. They were already serious. When I asked Jason how Maya took it, he said, not well. She called him. A lot. He blocked her. Sarah filled in more details. Maya had tried to rekindle things with Derek after I left. She'd told him that breaking up with me was proof she still cared about him. Derek had laughed at her, told her she'd misread everything, that he'd only been friendly because they shared mutual friends, that he'd never had feelings for her beyond their short relationship 2 years ago. She'd apparently cried in front of him at a coffee shop. He'd left her there. The friend group never recovered. Some people stayed in touch with me. Others stayed in touch with her. Most just moved on. I heard she tried to reach out to Derek's new girlfriend at one point to warn her about him. The girlfriend blocked her. Maya posted vague, sad quotes on social media for a while. Then she deleted everything and went quiet. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel smug. I just felt free. I'd spent 3 months shrinking myself, swallowing discomfort, trying to be the understanding boyfriend. And in the end, the person who was supposed to choose me had asked me to disappear. So I did, and I didn't look back. Closure, eating in peace. 6 months after I left, I was sitting in a new apartment with a better view, drinking coffee on a Sunday morning. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it. Then I saw the first line. I know I don't deserve a response, but I need you to know I'm sorry. It was Maya. I read the rest. She said she'd been in therapy, that she'd realized how badly she'd handled everything, that she understood now why I left. She said Derek had never been interested in her, and she'd been chasing a fantasy while ignoring the real relationship in front of her. She said she didn't expect me to forgive her. She just wanted me to know she finally got it. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed a short reply. I appreciate you saying that. I hope therapy helps. Take care of yourself. I hit send. She didn't respond. I didn't expect her to. I deleted the conversation and finished my coffee. Mark asked me once if I regretted how I handled it. If I wished I'd tried harder, communicated better, given her another chance. I told him no. I'd tried for 3 months. I'd communicated. I'd swallowed my discomfort and my dignity trying to be the bigger person. And in the end, she'd asked me to stay home so her ex could eat in peace. That wasn't a miscommunication. That was a choice. I didn't need to fight for someone who didn't see my value. I didn't need to explain why I deserved basic respect. I just needed to leave. So I did. I packed my things, walked out, and built a life where I didn't have to compete for space at the table, where I wasn't optional, where I wasn't an inconvenience. Some people called me cold. Some said I should have tried harder. But I knew the truth. Respect isn't something you beg for. Dignity isn't something you negotiate. And when someone shows you that you're not a priority, the healthiest thing you can do is believe them. Then choose yourself. I never went back to that friend group. I never reached out to Maya again. I never wondered what would have happened if I'd stayed. Because I already knew. I would have kept shrinking, kept disappearing, kept sitting at separate tables while someone else took my place. And that wasn't a life I was willing to live. Now, when I sit down for dinner, I sit where I want. I laugh when I want. I show up as myself, not as someone's backup plan. And if anyone ever asks me to make myself smaller for someone else's comfort, I know exactly what I'll do. I'll say okay. I'll pack my things. And I'll leave them with the empty apartment they chose. Because some rings start wars. But my self-respect bought me peace.
Of deep reflection and perhaps a bit of clarity for your own journey. If you felt a connection to our character struggle and triumphs, or if you simply enjoy the soulful narrative we share here on Versatile, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe. Your support is the heartbeat of this channel. It is the fuel that keeps me searching for the most authentic, raw, and meaningful slices of life to bring to your screen. By joining us, you are not just watching a video, you are becoming part of a community that values truth and resilience. In the world of love and commitment, a partner betrayal feels like a sudden earthquake. In an instant, the foundation of trust you spend years, perhaps decades, building is shattered into dust. The pain is real, and the silence that follows can be deafening. But I want you to remember this. Sometimes we are forced to walk through the rule, not to mourn what was lost, but to realize that true happiness can never be found by clinging to someone who was never brave enough to be honest with you. The deep risk of a broken relationship often hides a path to your true self. A partner deception is a reflection of their character, not a definition of your worth. Never let their shadow dim your light. Instead, see their existence as a signal from universe, a loud, clear message that you have outgrown a space that was too small for your soul. When the protagonist of our story finally steps onto his new path, it isn't just the swiftest form of revenge. It is something much more powerful, absolute, unfiltered freedom. Always remember, the goal of living a toxic marriage isn't necessarily to rush into the arms of someone new. The real victory is finding courage to be alone, to heal, and to finally find yourself again. Because once you are whole on your own, no one can ever take your happiness away from you. Thank you for lending me your ear, your time today. Be kind to yourself, stay strong, and I will see you in the next story, only on Versatile.